Welcome to Simple Logic. I'm your host, Nola, and hopefully you're following us on all our social media platforms. That's Real Super Nola on Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and that's Simple Logic on Patreon. This is a remark on the Joe Budden podcast where Stephen A. Smith is talking about the chemistry and what happened between him and his former co-host, Max Kellerman. Let's take a listen.
Didn't like working with him, man. It's just that damn simple. I didn't like it. I thought the show was stale. I thought that we had flatlined when it came to the public at large, and I'm trying to win. But you weren't an athlete, and you weren't a journalist, and the absence of the two components left people wondering, why should we listen to you? Okay, well, you might have had that figured out on Sports Nation, or you might have had that figured out on another show. But on this show, if you looked at the content emanating in the social stratosphere, meaning YouTube and other components that you use to measure one's cachet, Q ratings, focus groups, all of these different things, it was like I was damn near doing the show by myself because we were oceans apart in terms of cachet. Well, how are you oceans apart from me if you sitting right across from me? I've been very honest and very consistent about it. There's nothing personal. We weren't enemies or anything. To be real, we ain't spoke since, other than high and by, or if I had to go on the show when they were doing the morning show, I would get interviewed. But there's been no conversations since, and that's fine with me. That's no problem, because it wasn't like we were boys or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it was all business to me, and it was about, look, man, I'm trying to win, and I don't believe I can win with you.
Those were strong words. I didn't like working with him. Um, the fact that he wasn't a journalist and he wasn't an athlete. So to him, he didn't think he had any credibility in making an opinion about sports. I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I think that's not fair. Frankly, I don't think that's fair to Max or to anybody. And man, the media business is a cutthroat business, and for you to keep dumping on somebody like that after they left, man, them chickens come home to roost. And then the landscape changes all the time. I disagree with Stephen A on that. Yes, people get stale. After a while, people need to change. But Stephen A has always bragged about how First Take's been number one for the past 12 years, if I recall. And Max is a big part of that. After Skip Bayless left, Max is a big part of that. The reason why I disagree with his take is Max came off as this pseudo intelligent guy, and he challenged Stephen A. And if you've watched First Take for years now, you know fully well Stephen A has a big ego. As a matter of fact, all those guys have big egos. And it seemed like what he wanted to establish was a hierarchy. I'm the boss, you're not. But on First Take with Max, it seemed like people looked at them as Stephen A and Max go back and forth. And I'm not sure he liked that. But also, there was a time, the last time Terrell Owens was on First Take, and I believe they were talking about Colin Kaepernick. And Stephen A. Smith used to go hard at Colin Kaepernick. And Max Kellerman used to defend Colin Kaepernick. Now, the viewership at large that were concerned about the social issues that Kaepernick was speaking about didn't like the tone that Stephen A. had with Colin Kaepernick. And that's a fact. And it was proven by the interview with Terrell Owens. Take a listen. Let's take a listen.
Mentioned obviously Max is going to get in here, and like I said, I'm in the streets. Max almost seems blacker than you, Stephen A. with what he's coming, with his commentary.
With all due respect, my brother,
I'm just saying, dog.
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
I'm just saying.
I'm gonna check you right now. You don't cross the
I'm
line.
just saying.
Tell me. Wait a minute. You don't cross the line. First of all, like I said, you, Colin Kaepernick, Eric Reed, any of y'all that want to debate me in front of black people and talk about what's best for black people, name the time and place, I'll show up.
That right there, I will tell you, as any proud black man on national TV will take it. that right there. And that was the tenure. Anytime they talked about social issues, Stephen A tried sometimes to be diplomatic. No. And more times than none, Max Kellerman was always for the progressive movement. And that, I believe, rubbed Stephen A the wrong way. And ever since that show, it's been downhill from then. Now, you could say maybe they've had things behind the scenes in which the hierarchy was not established, and Stephen A wanted to establish the fact that that's his show now, and he's the boss, and he needed Max Kellerman to leave. So the idea that he wasn't a journalist or he wasn't an athlete, he wasn't those things before he got on the show. And the show excelled all the points that he made. So that's disingenuous. And I disagree with the fact that he keeps making these claims and burying this guy, trying to destroy him. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think this is going to work. And I don't think this is going to last. Because believe it or not, Stephen A., you made a lot of enemies. And you need to stop doing that to Max. It's one thing to stop working with somebody. Yeah, you made your claim. Yeah, you probably destroyed his career or altered his career somewhat. And now you keep burying him? Man, this is America, man. And what goes around comes around. And I don't like that at all. I don't like that. I totally disagree with that. Question, comments, or concerns. Tell me what you think about what Stephen A said about Max Kellerman. I believe he just wanted to establish his dominance on the show. And he couldn't do it with a guy that most viewers looked at him as an equal. And that was unacceptable to him. And the fact that, man, that was so negative. I don't like that. Questions, comments, and concerns, feel free to tell me what you think. Real Supernova on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Super Logic on Patreon. Talk to you soon.